Hello everyone and welcome back to another review of The Bad Batch. Today we are taking a look at Common Ground, the latest episode of Star Wars The Bad Batch. So, let's see here. To get started, what is the basic plot of this episode? Well, the Bad Batch are going to Raxus, the former Separatist capital, to rescue a senator that's being held captive by the Empire. So, Raxus, there's a lot of things in this episode that I find fascinating. I'm going to use the word fascinating from now on instead of interesting because I used it like 50 times last week. And it was too much. So I'm trying to expand my vocabulary here. that is my character arc in these reviews, is I'm expanding my vocabulary. So what I find fascinating about Raxus is that we saw it like one time really in Clone Wars. And from what we saw in the episode title that we saw it in was appropriately named Heroes on Both Sides, where Ahsoka and Padme go to Raxus to meet with Mina Bonteri and Lux Bonteri and try to get a ceasefire deal pinned between the two sides. Of course, this ends up not going to plan because then Grievous sends a bunch of Transformer droids to bomb a power generator on Coruscant right in the middle of their vote, and then Dooku has Mina killed, saying that Republic troops did it, but of course, it wasn't actually Republic troops that did it. It was, of course, Dooku because it's Dooku. It's what you expect, and that's really all we ever saw of Raxus. But throughout the war, it was their capital. It was the capital of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. So that was, and it's very much a stark contrast to Coruscant, which I loved. There's that scene, first third of the episode, where the Bad Batch are coming in to land on the planet, and it's just all these really pretty clouds flying in through the cloud bank, and then they continue to go through the atmosphere, and then here's this really nice planet. It really does kind of showcase the differences between the Republic and the Separatists, and kind of what a ordinary person on the ground Separatist was kind of, like the Separatist senators that weren't the corporations that had been bought off by Dooku, like the Trade Federation or the Techno Union or stuff like that. These regular senators that were like Mina Bonteri, that were decent people that cared about their constituents. I mean, this guy, I can't remember this guy's name, but this senator in this episode, he's definitely of the same ilk, from the same camp, where he saw the corruption going on in the Republic. And in all honesty, those senators were not wrong, and with everything going on, in a lot of ways, the Separatists were right. The need to defect and create a new system of government and split off from the Republic was maybe kind of justified. The only problem with that, of course, is that the same man controlled both sides, and none of it really ever mattered. It was just a ploy to get him to become Emperor of the Galaxy. And then a big red flag and obviously I think a lot of these things were probably hidden from the public. I mean, it would have to be, otherwise I don't think they'd be very happy. But I mean, Grievous is running around murdering people left and right, and it's like, forget him just killing Jedi. I mean, there's multiple cases. I mean, there's season 4, the 3PO and R2 go on a Lark arc, the little two-parter that they have. They end up going to all these different planets and stuff. But near the end of that episode, Grievous, there's just a ship, and I mean, they're pirates, but I don't know if they necessarily realized they were. No, they did, because the battle droids definitely knew that they were pirates, and they thought 3PO and R2 were pirate droids. But still, this random little ship out in the middle of nowhere, not doing anyone really any harm. I mean, you could identify it as pirates, but they're not really doing anything at the moment. And Grievous is just like, yeah, let's just blow it up for target practice, and they shoot down this ship. I mean, Grievous did stuff like that all the time. I mean, then you have other Separatist leaders that come in. So the cause of the Confederacy was maybe just. I also find this funny that I'm talking about the CIS a day after the 4th of July. This is going to be posted on the 5th of July, and the 4th of July is going to be the American Civil War parallels being drawn there. It's like I will say that the Confederacy of Independent Systems was was justified in some of their actions, of seceding from the Galactic Republic, not necessarily the Confederacy of Independent States. I want to make that clear. But some of their things, some of their actions of seceding and everything may have been justified, but then it's odd that then Palpatine stacks the leadership, stacks the deck of the military and stuff with all these pretty clearly evil people. It's like Grievous, Dooku, Lock Durd. For Pete's sake, how many weapons of mass destruction did the Separatists come up with? How many? It's like, for Pete's sake, they resurrected the Blue Shadow virus. They had Dr. Vindy recreate the Blue Shadow virus to use as biological warfare. It's like, a lot of people online make fun of the Republic committing some war crimes. It's like, Anakin surrendering on the bridge on Urbana and then using that as a distraction and not being real surrender to then take out the tactical, stuff like that. Some maybe kind of underhanded tactics, let's say, that the show passes off as clever, and I think, in terms of Star Wars, it is clever and it makes for fun entertainment. But the Separatists, they just like actual war crimes. It's like, hey, here's a non-combatant. Let's just shoot them a bunch of times. It's like, for Pete's sake, this is one of the things about season 1 of Clone Wars that I don't understand. People go, the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars are so kiddie. And it doesn't really get good until season 3, and that's when it gets like really dark. And it's like, it gets darker, yeah, but I feel like season 1 starts off pretty mature, because here comes the Malevolence blowing up defenseless ships that have been, knocked out with an ion cannon. And so then you go to Wikipedia, and it's like, how many clones did it take to crew a Venator Star Destroyer? Oh, like 12,000 or something like that. All those clones gone. Just dead. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that are just dead. Oh, now we're going to target a medical station? There's multiple points. The second episode of that Malevolence arc is, the B plot is basically like, hey, we can't evacuate all these wounded clones in time. If a Grievous shows up and General Skywalker can't destroy the thing, a lot of these wounded clones are just totally screwed. It's like, that's dark. That's dark, man. So... that's one of the things I don't get about some people complaining about early Clone Wars. Like, yeah, you have the occasional Jar Jar episode or something, but then here comes Grievous trying to wipe out a medical station with a bunch of that doesn't have any defenses. It's like there's like I don't even think those medical stations have turrets or anything. They're just totally at the mercy of whatever ship wants to come their way and blow them up. So yeah. So seeing Raxus back again in Clone Wars in the Bad Batch, after the war has ended, the Confederacy has lost. The Empire is just the Republic, to a lot of people at this point, it's just the Republic 2.0, but now it's worse because the things that the Separatists probably said that the Republic was doing at the time was probably not true. Now, it is true. All their fears of everything that they were worried that the Republic might become have come true, because now it's not a Republic anymore. It is an empire. It's even more in the control of the people they don't want it to be in control, because now instead of a governing body, now you have one person controlling everything with this kind of illusion of a governing body with the Imperial Senate not really actually being any good. And that's why by the time you get to A New Hope, it's like, all right, yep, the Imperial Senate's been disbanded. It's like, oh, how are we going to keep control of the territories? The regional governors will keep everyone in line, and fear of this battle station. And that's where the Death Star comes in. So I find it, I really was intrigued with going back to Raxus and seeing the people not liking the fact that the clones were all over the place. And it's like, yeah, they're clones, Steve Bradley Baker and everything, but I mean, these are stormtroopers at this point. They are straight up stormtroopers at doing all the. I mean, I got a lot of Rebels vibes from this episode. In that, like the early first season of Rebels, where we see a lot of the occupation of Lothal, where the Empire starts cracking down on that planet, stuff like that. I got a lot of vibes of that here. It's just that it's clone troopers and ATTEs instead of stormtroopers and ATDPs that we saw on Lothal or the Joe Johnson early concept design of the AT-ATs. So yeah, also, if I'm not mistaken, the Imperial captain, what's her face? I'm pretty sure her, with the exception of her actual face, which was done in the Clone Wars style, I feel like her outfit was just lifted directly from Rebels without any tweaks or redesigns or anything. What makes me think that is that the uniform was like just a solid color, and the only shading on it was basically just the lighting in the certain scenes that they were in. Otherwise, it had the much more cleaner, just kind of the cleaner, not as detailed look of a Rebels costume. So it really, I feel like that they just really did take like the Governor Price outfit or something, change the rank badge, give her a new face, and otherwise and give her one of the Imperial hats, officer hats. And that was basically that. They called it done for that character, which I get it, I understand, because even when characters like Yularen or something, where we see these what would end up being, obviously the familiar Imperial uniforms in Clone Wars, even they still have that Clone Wars texturing to them, where it looks like there's like a lot of backgrounds that look painted, or like there's brushstroke artwork done to them or something, which gives it kind of that unique Clone Wars texture. And her uniform, just from the one viewing of the episode so far, to me, it just looks, it seemed like it was lacking those Clone Wars details. So I'm like, oh, they just took that Imperial outfit from Rebels and just reused it here. It's like, I mean, okay, it works. It worked. I mean, to a super nerd like me, I noticed it, but I don't think that's going to be something that I'm going to be surprised if I go online going, oh, did anyone else notice that they just repurposed a Rebels character model for this Imperial captain in this episode or something like that. So, but I mean, I get it. There sometimes you got to cut corners and save some cost stuff, because I think there was actually a decent amount of new stuff in this episode. I mean, the entire Raxus city, I'm pretty sure, was rebuilt from Clone Wars. Even if like the exterior shot wasn't new, of like the Citadel building and everything of the Separatist Parliament, or the former Separatist Parliament, I mean, there's still the courtyards and the interiors and like the buildings and all that stuff. All that stuff was 100% new. And then also new in this episode, I think, are the ATTEs. They look, because they look like they're new models, even compared to the pilot episode of Bad Batch, where I'm pretty sure those ATTEs we saw in the opening of Bad Batch were just the same old Clone Wars model they had been using since 2008, or well, actually prior to that, because the show was in production. Prior to that, it just didn't start coming out until 2008. So you know what I mean. But these models, I feel like, are new, because there's because they added there's doors. There's the doors for people to get in and out of now, which I think is new. And it didn't seem to me that they just took the same model and slapped some doors on them. It actually seemed like to me that the ATTEs themselves were a little bit more detailed and stuff like that. So it's probably one of those things like the battle droids, that like Dave Filoni stated that when they did that Clone Wars type episode of Rebels in season 3, that was kind of their tribute to Clone Wars before they realized they would get a chance to do season 7. one of the things he had said is that the team had always wanted to, after a couple seasons, they had wanted to give the battle droids an upgrade in their character models the way that they gave the clones an upgrade in season 4, but they just didn't have the time or the budget to do that. So then when Rebels came along, they got to finally do that, and then they reused a lot of those assets as well and kind of tweaked them a little bit to look Clone Wars-y for season 7. So I feel like the ATTEs and some of the other clone equipment is probably something that they wanted to do as well. They just didn't get a chance to until this episode. So that's always very intriguing to see them finally pull some of that stuff off. So, and yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. I don't really have too much to talk about it. I've seen a couple people call this a filler episode already, which I just don't understand calling any episode a filler episode until a season has ended or a show has ended. It's like I don't know. I feel like rescuing the senator is going to have something to do with the main plot going forward, and then and we got a little bit of character work with Omega of her not wanting to get left behind, and we know that she's a good strategist now. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if here in the next couple episodes we maybe see her, being more the brains behind the operation, and her and Hunter kind of, now that we know how good she is at strategy with Dejarik and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe she and Hunter are the ones that kind of start formulating the plans from here on out. So yeah, I really think that's all I have to talk about this episode. It was good. Not the best episode the show has produced yet, but so far. But I liked it. It was good. Just a lot of fun little details that really I think were worth talking about as opposed to the main plot this week. So yeah, so that'll be it for this review. Please, so thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.